Okay, start. Okay, this is where the 3D fun begins. In the last screencast tutorial, I showed you the different uses in 3D Studio Max as a primer, and now we're going to start blocking out the city design, the composition. So there are, at the moment, we just have the 3ds Max grid and the application open. Now, we could, in theory, do an imaginary work from our minds, from what we remember about the sketches, but in reality, we would I would pin the sketches around my screen. And also, we have a way to look at the images here as a reference as well. But firstly, I'm going to do something very quickly as to customize my units setup. So I'm going to do my units in centimeters. So make sure each the measurement unit is in centimeters, and I'll show you by going to helpers and doing this, and it will show you that this is 3,938 centimeters, which is 39 meters. Okay, so we know that's the length there. In fact, actually, I'm going to take it to meters because we're doing quite a large scene. So let's try it again with the tape just to make sure. Yeah, so that's 40 odd meters there. Okay. And to start with as well, I'm going to draw a plane, and this plane acts as a reference for the ground. I'll make it quite big. I'm going to bring up the material editor. In this, we can have two modes here: slate material editor and compact material editor. For this screencast and overall lesson package, I'm just going to use the compact material editor for ease of use. And I'm going to drag this grey material on here. Scale the plane by going to scale. And I'm going to add a camera, so I'm going to go to the command panel, go to this camera icon on the create panel, click on camera, target camera, go to the top viewport, left click, drag, left click, so that's drawn the camera. Just checking the left viewport to see if it's there. Good. And then here, left click, go to cameras, camera 1. This is your camera. I'll rename the camera main cam. So now whenever you want to go to a particular view from the camera in any of the viewports, you left click main cam. Just repeat. So here is on left, camera, main cam. And as you can see, I can orbit around it. So that's made quite a nice viewport already. And now I'm going to show you how to refer to your images. So we go on the file menu up here, go to rendering, go to view image file, and I'm in my folder here, 6 blocking out the scene, chapter 6 blocking out the scene, and then I can click on one of the drawings that I like, for example this one, highlight it and press open, and what happens is it opens in a new window, and it's a floating window, so I can refer to it as I'm using the scene. Then I can minimize it, and it minimizes to the bottom left. So this is quite a neat way to refer to your images. And again, I'm going to choose this image, and then this is another reference image here. And again, I'm going to choose the photo as well to refer to. Okay, so there's the photo. And in this lesson, I'm going to block out the general shapes of the scene. Okay, firstly, I'm going to set up my rendering because I want this as a Panavision view, and I usually find it helps my composition if I know what the final look will be. So I'm going to give it a widescreen view, set 70mm Panavision Cine, which is in the render setup. So if you can't find this box, you go here, render setup, and you go to common, output size, Panavision. Now this will give the dimensions in Panavision. So 440, 1536 by 698, etc., etc. But in this viewport, it hasn't changed the dimensions yet. That's because the dimensions are still the viewports. So what you want to do is right-click on this, on your main cam name here, and go to Show Safe Frames. Click on that, and immediately you'll see that the dimension of the Panavision view is kept. So this yellow line around here is the Panavision dimension. So you'll see exactly what the composition will look like in the viewport now. And a word of advice: when you're looking at your reference image, you want to work out some sort of strategy, okay? It doesn't have to be really rigid, because I'm from an arts background, I like making things quite loose, but you want to know that your camera is going to be in the middle of the street, like so. So you probably want your camera here, and then the buildings are going to go off on this side and this side. So I'm going to just start blocking out the whole scene with primitives. So remember, primitives in the primer are on the Create panel, on the Geometry panel, and then we have different shapes. Obviously we're doing a city, so we start with boxes. Later we will convert the primitives into editable polys so we can edit the shapes. But at the moment it's just like blocking in, yeah, very rough. So basically I'm just going to start drawing some boxes here. You should see it in the camera. Okay, well we can't, so I'm going to bring, it's because the plane is very big, so I'll bring that in and scale this building down a bit. So this building is going to correspond to this building here. And I'm using this as a reference with the image. Some people find that a bit clumsy. They use things like the RAM player, and also you can also make a plane and then put an image on the plane, such as a drawing or a photograph, to refer to, or use actually make the background image as the photograph. But I prefer doing it this way. There's no wrong way to do it. Okay. So this is a bit of a building here. Move that around. So that's kind of this bit. Make that so, just blocking in. There's going to be a big piece of building behind it. So I select this box. All I do is hold down Shift, left click, drag, and then it clones the object. It asks me, do I want to copy an instance or a reference? You want to make a copy because the building is going to be different. You don't want it to be doing the same things as this one. So an instance would make everything you do with this one would be the same with the other one, but we're just going to copy it. Okay. Adjust the height. And I've been doing the adjustment with these spinners, but of course you can also adjust it with scale here. but you really should convert it to an editable poly first, but we'll do that later. So I've got a rough idea of this side, and all these other buildings are on the other side, and this middle one is here. So I'm going to take the back building, duplicate it, copy it, and this building's further away than that building, so I take it back. I make it thinner and higher. And then we've got a whole array of buildings on this side as well. Just copy that. Copy. That could be this one. And there's some really cool perspective ones coming out here. Copy, maximize the screen, and then that's that sign there. So as I say, I'm going to continue to work on this. Another good tip is to press F4, because that gives you edged faces. So when your polygons get more detailed, you'll see where the faces, the vertices, and the edges are. And at the moment the faces are all green. The edged faces are green, so I select them all, go here, and do that. So this wasn't working. Okay, so select all, go there, usually it should work. Right. So what we have here is a very rough scene with a few blocks in it and the camera. What I'm going to do now is to block out a lot more of the scene, and rather than talking as I do it, because it might take a long while, well, probably 1 or 2 hours, well, 1 hour I guess, I'm going to block out this scene using the primitives, but you will see the next part of it as a time-lapse movie, you know, one of these movies that's very fast, it's speeded up. So I'm going to stop now, and what you'll see next is the speeded up movie of me blocking out the scene. And then we'll stop, and the next chapter we will detail in on the models. One tip is to remember is when you're making your scene, your 3D scene, always think of have an idea of what the final result's going to be like. Is it going to be photorealistic or is it going to be stylistic? If it's photorealistic, you will want to perhaps model everything. I don't personally do that. Mine's more sort of art-based, stylistic, loose, expressive. So what I do is I pick out the main elements of the scene. I will focus in on some of them and then work from that and then add the drawing on top. Okay, so always think of the strategy that you want to use when working in 3D. Okay, so I'm going to start the time lapse now and speak to you soon, and I hope you enjoy this speeded up bit. Okay.